This nibble originally aired on RSBANDB Update, episode 803, Performance Enhancing Oddments. Enjoy. All right, now this is something you wanted to talk about, RuneScape Leagues. Any question if that could happen in RS3? They said their idea is to just not chase and duplicate something that old school is doing.
Well, look, in a sense, that is the right approach in general, right? Like, in general, just because one thing works for one game doesn't mean it's going to work for the other. But they are also looking at leagues much the same, I think, as a lot of people are, of just taking what old school is doing and bringing it into RS, somehow making it work, more in an RS theme. Now, when I look at leagues, I am much more going towards what they're talking about when they're talking about doing a if that were to ever happen, it would be in something that RS does well. So like a PVM setting, a skilling setting, a clue/quest adventuring setting.
You're saying exactly everything they did on the stream. Is that because that's what they said, or because that's the way you would like?
No, this is what I talked. I talked about it at the round table.
Right.
But this is something I've been working on the last few weeks. Is in my mind, I want to see, like, when you hear leagues, what I want to see is like, I want
seasonal high scores,
essentially, but with like a Darkscape league that runs that platform that runs Darkscape over a certain period of time.
And my concern about doing that is it would be starting from the bottom, and I don't get to use anything in the main character.
Absolutely. No, you won't be able to use your main for this. That is the drawback. But you would also be starting slow. But because it's competitive, so there's not going to be any bonus, no lamps, none of that. You'd have your Darkscape. You could have a clue in quest, season, which could be. You could do it either on a point system, so something like, I'm not sure the details on that. Skilling, you do the same thing. Everyone starts at 0. Raw high score matters. Raw XP, I think that'd be awesome. And you could all you have to do is come up with 4 of them, and then you run 4 of them throughout the year. Right,
and they said if it were to be done for RS3, it would be something that makes sense. And I think you hit the nail on the head on exactly what they would be, because they said the exact same things.
It's...
And, they said they could also be with leaderboards and competitions, high score tables, too.
Yeah, well, I think that's what makes the league, I mean, because here's what I want. In a way, I got to that by looking at our conversation that we have all the time about endgame. And we're always trying to think of, what is endgame? What is endgame?
Yeah.
And it finally dawned on me that there is never going to be one end game. That's not what RuneScape is. And what makes people play, like, I've always been fascinated with Fortnite, right? What makes people play the same thing over and over and over? It is the same thing. Like,
it's the fashionscape, isn't it?
Well, it's part of that, but it's having that new competitive experience each time. And so I think in RuneScape, we have our mains. We have the main game. And you want to put your time into that, that's on you. That's great. That's your choice. But having an option to be like where everything is new throughout that, season, I think it would draw a lot of attention. It would draw a lot of people. Most of us play 2 or 3 accounts at the same time.
I play 1.
Well, I know you're very traditional. Well, you're probably playing something else too, or doing something else too, right? I mean,
reading or watching.
I know you, Shane. I was gonna say, I know you, Shane. You're producing something.
Yeah.
But no, I think that. I think that's the ticket, and even though they got there through just everybody talking about, hey, can we have leagues, and I kind of got there through thinking, well, what is RuneScape's, what could be an end game for us? Like, what would it look like if you had everything and you have nothing to do? Why do you come back? Like, if RuneScape was like a an Elder Scrolls or, you know, a Stowe. Like, what do you do at the end? And I'm like, right now, it's only one thing. We have to change that. And with these leagues,
could you imagine if one of them was like a battle royale league?
You could. Well, I mean, you could do all kinds of stuff like that. Like, you could either do it either through like a Dimension of the Damned in a PVM sense, or you could even do it in a PvP sense, like through a Darkscape.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I'm not sitting here like developing them, and these are very broad, very vague categories, but I think there's so much potential.
And you know, I think we're also in a position now where Mod Warden is willing to take more risks in doing these kind of things.
Yeah, well, and Shane, I really don't think it's much of a risk.
No, because you remember what he said. He said that one of his biggest treasure troves that he found was the subreddit for Darkscape.
Yeah, yeah. That was so fun. Did you take part, Shane?
Briefly. It
was so fun. Like, I hated it because after about 6 weeks, if you weren't really high up there, you were just dead meat. But it was so fun. Like, and I don't PvP, but I had a blast. With the accelerated XP the way it was, and that was fun, man.
Yeah, and you got the whole world access too, even if you're free to play. So, I mean, I think there's definitely lots that could be done on this. And it's just a matter of time getting things all sorted out.
Yeah, and when they even took some of the stuff from Darkscape and put it into leagues, like with their with the geographical type settings being locked and stuff. That was something that came from Darkscape, where they weren't locked, but there were major differences between the sectors that you went to, both in trade and how the PvP aspects of it were. Whether the guards would look out for you, or whether they're like, "Yeah, good luck, bud." You know, like. So I see a lot of those things that came from that are in leagues now.
You can find full episodes of RSBANDB Update right here on this YouTube channel. If you found this video useful or just enjoyed it, like and subscribe, or leave a comment.